Hello and welcome to Weekend Waypoints, a production of SEC Extra at d1baseball.com. Joe Healy here to recap a fun Friday at the College World Series, take a look at Saturday's games ahead. But before I do any of that, I have to let you know that this episode of Weekend Waypoints and every Saturday episode of Weekend Waypoints is brought to you by Plains Coffee Company, a husband and wife team roasting coffee beans in the heart of SEC country. You can get 10% off of your order by using the code BASEBALL at plainscoffee.com. Further good news about Plains Coffee, they ship free to anywhere in the United States. They also do not roast your order until you order it, so your beans are as fresh as they could possibly be when they arrive on your doorstep. They haven't been sitting on a shelf for God knows how long. So lots of good news with Plains Coffee Company. I ask that you support the people who support us. Plains Coffee certainly among them. Use code BASEBALL at plainscoffee.com for 10% off of your order. If you're not a coffee person, they have tea as well. So no excuses, plainscoffee.com. All right, folks. Like I said, a fun Friday in Omaha. And we're obviously not going to talk about this game, but, UNC Virginia, good game, good appetizer for the nightcap between Florida State and Tennessee. And whoo boy, Florida State and Tennessee, what a dramatic one that was. It was, frankly, just an ugly game for the first 5 innings or so. Both teams, errors. Neither. We knew Chris Stamos was going to be an opener for Tennessee, but him getting one out and facing 3 batters was less than ideal. Obviously, Tennessee ended up having to use 6 pitchers. AJ Causey was not particularly good, which is rare. So they had to really dig a little bit deeper than I think they would have wanted. And on the other side, Florida State's Jamie Arnold wasn't that sharp. Like he battled through it and got into the, it was the 6th inning, but ultimately he just wasn't himself. So it was ugly, but Tennessee won ugly. And I think that's what I wrote after the game last night, is that I think there's value in winning ugly for this team. I think it bodes well for their ability to have a deeper run here than they've had in the past. The fact that they can win that way and come back and they were down 9-4 in the 4th. So to come back from that, I think is really impressive. Obviously, a big story is Christian Moore with the hitting for the cycle. He hit for the cycle before the 6th inning, or in the 6th inning. I think it was triple, double, single, homer, and the home run was just an incredible piece of hitting. Like 117 off the bat, 440 feet, dead center field. Just incredible. Tony Vitello after the game described it as the reaction in the dugout was the most impressive part for him, and he described it as like Sean Kemp, who if you're a 90s NBA fan like I am, you'll appreciate that reference. That Sean Kemp was such a thunderous dunker that his teammates would go nuts sometimes and just be in awe of what he was able to do dunking a basketball. So that was the reaction that Christian Moore got with his home run, apparently. So impressive stuff. Impressive enough for him that it kind of goes on, I don't say unnoticed, but Dylan Dreiling gets a walk-off hit. Dreiling went 4 for 6, 3 runs batted in. So pretty good day for Dylan Dreiling as well. The 9th inning was incredibly dramatic. Tennessee pretty much immediately jumped out and started making its run in the 9th inning. It started with Kavares Tears in the 6th spot, but by the time the lineup flipped over, you kind of had a feeling, and by the time the lineup flipped over, they were still down 2. It was 11-9 at that point. But even then, I could tell you it was just in the air. There was like an air of inevitability that they were going to at least tie this thing. And they did. Of course, Christian Moore doubled into the corner. Blake Burke 2-run single. Billy Amick with a single to move a runner into scoring position, and then Dylan Dreiling gets him home. Just shows again why this team is as dangerous as they are. I mean, the bottom of the lineup did enough to turn it over to the top, and they took care of business. So there were some unsung heroes along the way. I thought the walk that Cannon Peebles worked was huge as a pinch hitter in the 9th inning. That was a moment that, it's a guy who, has struggled for a lot of this year, but he came through in a big moment, put together a good at bat. The Blake Burke single obviously is the highlight there, but leading up to him getting that single, he put together a great at bat, fouling some pitches off and working the count. before squaring a ball up the middle. So a lot of things in that game. Nate Snead, 2 1/3 innings scoreless, to try, to kind of quiet things down late in the game and give the offense time to work. So Tennessee moves on. They will take on North Carolina on Sunday. I had to think about that. On Sunday in the winners bracket game. The winner of that game will be in the catbird seat, as they say, for the bracket championship, the winner of the bracket, if you will. All right, let me flip over to comments before we get to today's game. Moonshine says, "Where's Joe? The Omaha Hilton can neither confirm nor deny." Austin Jabali, good thing there were only 2 games to recap. Yeah, no kidding. Like, if this had been like a regional weekend or a super regional weekend, this show might have been 45 minutes. Chase Styles, I guess we'll use this as a jumping off point to preview one of today's games. On Facebook, is A&M smart to hold back Prager for game 2? I guess I don't have a strong feel either way, because the way I see it is, if you're going to win your side of the bracket, you're going to have to get a win with someone other than Prager on the mound. So perhaps it is a better matchup for you to use someone other than Prager, in this case, Justin Lampkin, against a team that you're familiar with, right? Like, you played Florida this season. It was a long time ago. It's first weekend of SEC play, but there's familiarity there. The personnel. The scouting reports are probably almost certainly a lot firmer, a lot more certain than they are against a team you've never seen before. So maybe that makes some sense. Now, I think, you're starting Lampkin, but I think that's going to be Chris Cortez about as soon as you run into an issue. But I'm also kind of bullish on, Justin Lampkin's had a tough year in a lot of ways, but I mean, the dude, like, he's got talent, right? He's got ability. Like, it wouldn't be shocking if he goes out there and throws the ball well and leads A&M to a win. Like, this guy is not like a freshman who's thrown 12 innings this season, right? I mean, it hasn't gone the way he'd want, but this isn't a nobody. So, but I do still expect, Chris Cortez will be, I would guess, the first arm out, unless Lampkin gets them deep into the game with a big lead, right? That kind of scenario. As long as it's a close game, or if it's early, I think Cortez is probably the first arm out, and hoping to ride him, about as far as they can get him. So, but yeah, I wouldn't have had an issue either way, because again, you're going to have to get a win from someone other than Prager, and maybe they thought Prager, hey, if NC State in particular wins the game against Kentucky this afternoon, Prager, your best arm against a team that hasn't seen him, maybe is the better matchup. So it's all about winning 2 games. So whatever you can do to win the 2 games is what you got to do. On the flip side of it, they're playing A&M playing Florida tonight. How does Liam Peterson handle the moment? He did not have a good start against Clemson. Looked kind of sped up out there against Clemson, frankly. Was spiking the ball, a lot of balls to the backstop just in the first inning alone. So how does he handle the moment? Is he the guy who looked kind of sped up against Clemson, or is he the guy he was the previous month before that, where he was, pretty doggone good? Which Liam Peterson they get, I think that's going to have a lot to do with what this game looks like from Florida's standpoint. Of course, Jack Caglione will be fun to watch. How does A&M handle him? Is it an automatic walk if there's a base open, or if the bases are empty? Do they go after him, kind of daring him to try to hit the ball out of this ballpark, which he could do? That's not a question of that. So it's good for me, from the Florida standpoint. It's 2 variables. It's Liam Peterson. It's also, what does the rest of the lineup give the team, so that it's not, Jack Caglione and a bunch of guys waiting around for Jack Caglione to do something, which has been one of the keys this postseason, right? They've gotten stuff from a lot of players. Brody Donay hit a big home run against Clemson. Ashton Wilson has continued to swing the bat well. the last couple of weeks. So, on and on, they've just gotten a lot more contribution up and down the lineup than they had previously. And that's been a big catalyst for the Gators being where they are. All right, back to the comments real quick. Excuse me. Jordan Shields, a Tennessee fan, says, just like 98, it was a bad night to be a Knoll. Fair enough there. Clay Phillips on YouTube. One great game and one beer league softball game. LOL. #fix it. Yeah, I mean, it did have beer league softball qualities to it. Sure, but I don't think you could deny that it was entertaining. Like that's the thing is, it wasn't pretty, and the first 4 innings weren't particularly fun, but it ended up being a whole heck of a lot of fun. So I'll take it, even if it was a little bit ugly along the way. Good question here. Landon Midget on Facebook. Does A&M have enough firepower to win it all without Montgomery? I say yeah. Lineup's still incredibly good. And it's not just Laviolette and Grahovic, of course. It's Appel and Schott. Schott's playing a little bit hurt right now. He's got a big old knee brace on, but still swinging the bat well. Caden Kent has come on and had some really important at-bats for them. So it's just it's an Ali Camarillo, right? This guy I almost forgot there, but it's still a very good lineup. I think that part is fine. I'm more worried about the Sadeo injury. Montgomery, obviously a better player at what he does than Sadeo, but they have the firepower to, I think, make up for Montgomery in large part. I mean, the proof is that Montgomery's been in a bit of a slump relative to everyone, or certainly relative to his earlier season form. So they've kind of been winning without him in a lot of cases. So they've proven they can do that. Now, without Sadeo, they're another arm short. We'll have to see how that ends up playing out, because if they get in a situation where they need a third guy, you got Tanner Jones as an option there, but who's experienced, but you're certainly a little bit short. So that, to me, that's a little more concerning there. Jordan says, "Morning, Joe. I have a feeling Florida ambushes A&M early." That could be, like, if Justin Lampkin has another tough start and Florida comes out swinging it well, I could absolutely see that. Florida also a team that knows where their bread is buttered, right? They're going to have to score runs, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with an aggressive offensive approach for sure. So I could see that. That's absolutely on the bingo card as a possibility for tonight's game. On the UK and State game. Jordan says Prager, but Prager not starting today, Jordan, if that's what you're saying. It's Justin Lampkin today. They're going Lampkin and then probably Chris Cortez early on in that start. They're saving Prager for game 2. Kentucky versus NC State should be a fun game. I think these are two very vibes-based teams, right? Two teams that are playing well right now, are kind of feeling themselves. Two teams that tend to be momentum kind of teams. So two high energy teams. So I think it's gonna be a fun one. Don't overlook NC State's pitching. If you're a Kentucky fan looking at their stats, they're better than that. They're a little bit like, well, I was going to compare them to Georgia, but I'm not sure that's exactly right. But the pitching is better than what the stats will show you. They've gotten better as the season has gone on. They've found some things. I think about Derek Smith in the bullpen being a guy who has come on strong of late and given them a new dimension. And previous NC State teams have kind of been marked by steady starters, and steady pitchers, but not a lot of stuff, right? It's a lot of pitchability. This team's got stuff, especially in the bullpen. So that's a little bit of a different look there. They can strike you out in the bullpen. They won't be shy about going to it. Now, they have Sam Heifel on the mound, and boy, you want to talk about experience. Sam Heifel outdueled Jack Leiter in the College World Series back in 2021. So he's been on this stage. He's got a ton of experience just generally, and he's a guy who seems to have kind of gotten better as the season has gone on. So I'm fascinated to see how he handles the UK lineup. And similarly, how does Trey Pusser handle the NC State lineup? It's a veteran lineup. They've got a couple of grad transfers, Alec Makarevich and Garrett Pennington. They've got some guys who are really dynamic, like Eli Serrano. tough group to pitch to for sure. And so that's going to be a challenge on both ends. NC State obviously has not played Kentucky. So does Kentucky try to really turn the slider up to 11 on like the chaos, right? Like, do they, try to bunt, put the ball in play, do some things on the bases? Of course, the thing about that is that NC State has Jacob Kozart behind the plate, a very good defensive catcher, very cerebral catcher. So this is not necessarily a team, at least from the catching standpoint, that you're going to trick a lot or be able to just run at will. So that is a variable for Kentucky, but I do still wonder if they just say, let's really push the gas on like trying to make things happen, because this NC State team, I'm sure they're prepared for it. Obviously they've watched the tape, but they've not experienced it. So is that an advantage that Kentucky can kind of try to do some things early on with them? We'll see. It's one of the reasons why I think it's gonna be a really fun game to watch. Flipping over real quick. Jordan, Lemkin versus Prager. So it should be a fun day. Looking forward to it. I think both games, look, I mean, if both games are 70% as good as the ones we got on day one, we're going to be in really good shape. So looking forward to that. A quick programming note. We are doing another, if you may have noticed, we did a live show yesterday morning to preview the day. We are doing another one today remotely from I'm not sure where it is here. Thankfully, someone else is walking me over to show me where to go because I'm not exactly sure. But we were doing another live show this morning to preview the day. So stay glued to, the YouTube here. If you're watching this on YouTube, we will have that live show. It'll be posted afterwards as well, so you don't have to be watching it live to catch it. But one of the reasons why I'm cutting this off here as opposed to opining a little bit longer this morning is I've got that show to get to as well. So if you want my further thoughts on today's games at the College World Series, you can watch it there along with Kendall Rogers, Aaron Fitt, and Mike Rooney. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this edition of Weekend Waypoints. I will join you again tomorrow morning for Sunday's edition of Weekend Waypoints, recapping the day, taking a look at what we've got on deck for Sunday's games. Looking forward to it all and looking forward to chatting with you again tomorrow morning. Enjoy the baseball, everyone.